Thanks. I feel so welcomed. No.
Yay! Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Margaret Pinard, and you're on BookTube. So today is our normal Final Friday productivity sprint, which means that we have short sessions where we're working silently across the ether at each other just to keep each other accountable and encouraged to get some work done with some buddies on the internet. So that's a productivity sprint, and First Fridays and Final Fridays are my dedicated times. But today is a special Final Friday because I have SD Huston, aka Shannon, and she's here to answer some questions because it is time for a Kickstarter campaign to wrap up. So Shannon, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to, I'm sure nobody knows you in my audience.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Shannon. I write under the pen name of SD Huston, and I have written YA fantasy series, which is published and out there and available to consume. But I am currently moving into fantasy romance with A Curse of Scales and Feathers, which is what's on Kickstarter with 3 days left. And when it closes, that will be pretty much it for getting what's there on that platform. There are a couple things that are Kickstarter exclusives. I will be moving everything over to Indiegogo, which is an in-demand platform. And so there will be some things available there, but there are slightly different prices because I realized I didn't price like some of my shipping right. So shipping's higher on some things. So yeah, so it's going to be on Indiegogo, and I'll probably just leave it on there until I'm ready to publish it on retailer platforms. And I still haven't decided on that yet. I probably won't decide until about October. So what do I want to do? If I want to try to do it in November when it's not really the best month, or if I want to wait until the next year. But yes, I am excited to talk about Kickstarters because I really, I've enjoyed the process. It's a lot, but I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Awesome. And so if you are unsure of what all that means, basically there's lots of different ways to publish books these days. One of them is traditional publishing. One of them is self-publishing, which we have both had experience in. And there's sort of this interesting hybrid, which is crowd-funded publishing, which Kickstarter is sort of the banner child for. And so you can also like hop, skip, and jump from platforms to get support from different audiences, depending on where they are, which is what Shannon just said she's planning on doing, which is very smart. So we're going to ask her questions during the breaks in the sprints today because we're all very curious. I might drop the links to her other talks because I think you've made the rounds of a few of our friends at least to talk about the Kickstarter and like a lot of the same points. So I'm going to try to not cover the same points, but we can point you to those other locations to watch as well.
Lots of points. Don't get hit by them.
They're sharp, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We love the puns. So let's say hello to the folks that are here. Hey, Morgan. Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Victoria talking. Hello, hello. Mama Maggie. She just finished Camp Nano edit Mo. Nice. So finished late last night. 150,000 words. Amazing. Slept in today and now to catch up on house cleaning before heading out to the mountains and hot springs for our 25th anniversary, which I think is a silver anniversary. Is that right?
Oh, I think it is.
Yeah. So silver bells.
Makes me think of Christmas. Silver bells.
I know. Well, you know. RC Scout is here. Hello. Good morning. And Felicia, Dreaming Truth author. Lovely. So we had some people migrating over from Shannon's sprints earlier. Shannon is a busy bee, in case you don't know. So she's everywhere, and we're glad she's here for today to be able to highlight the last 4 days, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, the way I guess it countdowns like if you go to the Kickstarter site, my page, it says 3 days left. So I think it's like, today's day 3, day 2, day 1, 1 day left on Sunday,
right.
And then Monday is the day it closes.
Okay.
So it's really more than 3 days, but it's
it's hard to count. Yeah. I relate to that. I just went to TJ Maxx for something and I saw one of these just like desk decorations that was clear acrylic with little gold sparkles, and it says the math is not mathing, and it just made me crack up. I was like, that needs to go on my desk. Oh man. Okay. So let me pull up this beautiful timer we have from Shannon herself. She does excellent timers, very whimsical and fantastical. So we're going to start out. It just started on 2035. So that's where we'll start. Feel free to pop in whatever you are working on. I know Shannon takes every available minute to work on all the tasks she has to do. So, do you have anything in mind for the next 20 minutes?
I think I'm gonna finish it before 20 minutes up. It's my second task of the day, which is to finish up my graphic to say 3 days left in my campaign,
Graphics.
and then get that out there to platforms. And then when that finishes, then I need to edit. Need to continue to edit the self-publishing tips and tricks podcast episode that's coming out on Tuesday with Bethany Vota.
Oh, very
So
cool.
yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
we asked her about ghostwriting, so it was a
what's
really
that?
good. We asked her about ghostwriting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it was a
Very,
really good interview.
very cool. Look forward to that on the 1st. They always
The
come out
first,
1st and 15th, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Great. And I've got some magazine social media posts to do, as well as some AWC sort of checking and prioritizing. So we'll see which I get onto first. But other than that, drop what you're working on, and we'll be happy to encourage you along the way and work for the next 20 minutes and 35 seconds. So I'll mute myself and have at it. we get a 5-minute break. Well, I don't play by those rules, so we will pause that and hide it for a bit while we have our own break with our own rules. All right. Well, how did you do? What did you work on?
Yeah, so I finished that task of getting the post out for the social media, finished the graphic and stuff, and I thought it took me a minute to figure out what I did with the lettering yesterday on my post. So and I wanted to do the same thing. So I thought, let me just do the rest of the lettering until the last day. That way I don't have to worry about that part. So I just finished doing all the lettering for up until the last day.
Nice.
And then I was trying to figure out which graphic I wanted to use next because I have several different graphics and all of them I have to manipulate in some way because I don't like how any of them came out. You know, I always had to put my own touch on things. So
nice. Is it like the effects or the filters that you're doing with the fonts that you have to like do the same thing? Sometimes when I go back in Canva and I'm trying to remember where did I find that one that could outline it in a color, it's like I have to remember the first step because it's like 3 steps to get there. So
yeah, because there's no outline function in GIMP. But what you can do is select the text, copy it to a path, create a new layer, and paste from the path, and then grow it by whatever number you want to grow it by, and then you fill it in with a color, and then you put it behind the text, and then it looks like an outline. And then I also put a drop shadow on it, which I use actually as a glow because they don't have a glow feature. So I use drop shadow, but I do it as a glow.
got it.
But then that has a lot of different like things you have to change on there to get it to look exactly the same. And I didn't remember what I chose, what numbers I chose on all the different things. And so I was looking at yesterday's picture and like, okay, that's close. I was like, let me not forget.
Yeah, for me, it's been a long journey. So like maybe a year and a half ago is when I was watching, I just forgot her name. She's a huge YouTuber that does lifestyle stuff now. And she had a lot of things about using your analytics and, getting to be a big YouTuber, which she now is. But she at one point showed everyone how to do the little outline and like draw it and make it white and draw it and make it white. And you had to like triangulate, and it was very complicated. And I looked at it and I said, I could take hours doing that or just no. But now in Canva, there's like a filtered thing like 4 steps in that does it for you. And I'm like, it's not exactly what it is, but it's enough. And that's fine with me.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Yeah. Doing what I do is not like the first few times of doing it. It took me a while to figure it out. And I would write down all the steps, like copy the path from text and then do a new layer, all that.
Yeah,
I wrote all that down and I did it over and over again when I did my book covers. So I did that there. But now I have it so fast. Yeah, now it's trained where if I was to like download the graphic after I'm finished manipulating it and then upload it to Canva to add the lettering, it would take me more time than it would just for me to do it myself.
You're batching. So yeah, Emma is here making puttanesca sauce, and we won't say what that means. JK Lambo is here to say hello, everyone. Very nice. Nia's helping to say hello. Maggie's heading out of town, so she says dishwasher loaded, kitchen cleaned, well done during 20-minute sprints. I like it. Morgan reconfigured her publishing plan for next year. So you started in August and then like went all next year. I like it.
Well, she did. I think she's been doing different ones throughout the year. Like she's been trying to come up with what she wants to do and then, reconfiguring it based off of her production schedule.
Mm-hmm. She just said that she'd be working on planning for August, and then she's like, next year, all done.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She's got a lot of projects in mind. So
Nia is doing a bit of stream hopping. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Nia.
Happy Friday.
Thanks for coming by. So I got some questions for you. So one of the things I'm curious about when I hear people talking about publishing journeys is success and how they sort of keep themselves motivated. So did you define success for yourself beforehand in this Kickstarter campaign? What was it and what was it based on? And how can you use that to help others be realistic about setting their own Kickstarter or other goals?
Yeah, I like that you mentioned realistic because I am part of a group now that since I paid for the course, and I'm in this group where they've talked, and like this one author, she was like, oh, I can't figure out why mine's doing so terrible. And I went and looked, and her goal was the same as mine, which was $1,000. And she already was like up to 6,000. And I was like, Could you define for me why you feel this is not successful?
Right.
And she said, I have to make X amount of money, which I don't remember what that number was, but I feel like it was around 15,000 in order to make a profit. And I'm like, well, why would you set your goal at 1,000 where $6,000 is not even enough to be profitable? But yeah, I think you have to be realistic what you can actually do. And there are different strategies in how to approach the platform and how to use it. And for me, the way I approached it was that I don't want to go into debt with my next series because I can't continue to go into debt. This is not realistic to live this way. So my idea was, let me have everything paid for. If it can pay for my cover, if it can pay for, like I pay for pro writing aid, if you can pay for pro writing aid, if you can pay for all these things that I have to get new ISBNs, if you can pay for all these things, and I can publish this book on a retailer platform with no money owed anywhere. It's not owed, you pay it up front, but still to myself is owed, it's a debt. I would be happy with that. And so when I figured it all out and I was figuring out the tiers, and obviously with Kickstarter, in most cases, you're offering more than just the paperback or the ebook like you would on Amazon. There you might find the ebook, the paperback, maybe the hardback, maybe the audiobook. That's all you get. You don't get like a cool notebook or, like our candle, like I'm doing a candle, you don't get all those things. Yeah. Stickers. Yeah. So I had to figure out, okay, if I want to offer different things that people are not going to find on a retailer platform, how much is that going to cost to make it, to have it delivered to me, to have it delivered to the buyer, the backer? So I had to figure out all those costs. And so once I figured out all those costs, the cost to actually produce the product itself, not counting like my time or anything like that, just the actual costs I paid out. When I put it all together, can I walk away with everything paid for? And I figured out that $1,000 would be, I didn't want to do like an odd number. Some people do odd numbers, but at $1,000, I'd walk away with $160 in my pocket is what I figured out. And I thought that's more than paying for everything. That's giving me a little bit extra money that I can do some marketing on it for like the next year. So that's how I set my goal. And I told myself if I hit that, I would be happy. Now I did have like a secret goal in the back of my head, which was, one, it'd be nice if I made enough money to pay for my next cover, which is $235 with my designer. And then two, it'd be nice if I could start paying back the money I paid for the course, which the course was bundled together with another course, which that course I think was $300, but altogether I paid $999. So basically it was like $600 for this one course. So I was like, if I could pay that back, that'd be great because it was worth it to take the course to get it paid for. And so at this point, I have pretty much covered all of it.
Yeah. And here's the next question that I had, which feeds directly into what you're talking about. Do you think the platform you've built with YouTube or the Kickstarter campaign you set up with the help of that course did more to help you win backers over? Or was it like neck and neck? Because you put a lot of work into both. So
yeah. This is something I want to look at because I can see who my backers are, like the names. I can see, like people I recognize from my newsletter lists, from YouTube, from different social circles I'm part of. So I can see some of those names, and I see some other names that I don't know who they are. And, most of the people you can click on or all of them you can click on and you can see something about them. Now, what you can see is whether or not they make their profile private. If they make it private, you can still see if they've backed campaigns before. So like the names I don't recognize, I click on them and they've backed like several campaigns at a couple hundred or more.
So Kickstarter source.
Kickstarter people. Yeah. Right. So to say which one is it, I can't really say for certain. I think until it's over and I can figure out who's who coming from where, if I can figure out sources. That was something I was already going to do because I also did pay for a company for advertising. It's the only one that the course instructors recommended to pay. And at this point, I don't think I've got a single backer from that. But they did give me a list of the people that they sent the advertisement to. So I can see if anyone backs me at the end, I can see, if they're on there. Of course, I can even see by date. So if it was before their date, then I know that they knew my campaign ahead of time. And the only way that
super old school. Yeah, that's interesting, that combination.
Yeah. So that's something I'm definitely going to look at. If I was to guess off the top of my head right now, I would say that my backers are pretty much split between those I know and I don't know. And I think I'm at 103 backers. It's showing 100 because 3 people have dropped off. So about half of them I know, half of them I don't. And then, so when you say which one's working, so is it my platform or is it the course? And I would say the course is what would have helped me to get those backers I didn't know, because the way to get visibility on your project, the biggest way to get visibility is to get like that project we love,
badge.
label, the badge, which I got on the third day. So that really helped because there's even data on the back end that shows where they've come from. If it was a search, like it doesn't connect it to the person, but it connects it to how much money has come from a search for a project we love, a search for publishing fiction. So that kind of stuff. So I can see that too. So
another analytics dashboard. Exactly what I want to hear, Shannon.
yeah. So it's all interesting. I look at it quite a bit and go through it, but I won't have a clear picture until it's done and I can, figure it all out.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I have another question, but I'm going to go to the audience just to check in. Morgan Lee says, I started with August, but then I needed to think about what I was doing next year to figure out what I needed to do in August. Yeah. Ain't that always the way? Agree. And Maggie says, good luck to everyone working to finish Camp Nano. She's going to lurk. And then Morgan said, really interested in doing a Kickstarter for my cozy fantasy series, but it seems scary. So I'm taking all the notes from Shannon. LOL.
Can I put a question out there?
What's that?
Can I put a question out there?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So I've already had someone approach me and ask me, is it worth it for the course? Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it's expensive. It's like $600 and some when I bought it. And I think they've increased the price since then. So is it worth it? I mean, you're going to get a lot of nitty gritty stuff. You're going to be part of a community that is not that active at this point, which I've kind of already said something to the creators. I was like, I'm kind of disappointed that there's not more going on in the community. Like I asked a question 2 days ago, no one answered me. So then I tagged the creators individually to get an answer because I really wanted to know an answer to my question or some experience, get some insight because of something that was going on with my campaign. And the whole idea, and I told them that's one of the reasons why one of the ways I was sold on it was the community aspect, that there was a community there to fall back on and that we would help each other out. And I just don't get that part as much.
Right. Now, forums and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that all the things I learned could be learned through experience and talking to people who know a lot about Kickstarters who have done it. So there's that. Whether or not the course is worth the money, I think you have to judge for yourself. In a way, I'm kind of glad because I did do a lot of digging on my own, but it's nice to have the reins there of someone else who's knowledgeable and who's done it. Okay. So based off of that, I kind of gave that answer to the person who asked me that question. And then they said, have you thought about doing a paid course on Kickstarters? And I thought, I don't, first thing, imposter syndrome, yeah, who am I giving a course on Kickstarters? I've done one. But I thought, well, I mean, and people have asked if I'm going to do videos on doing the Kickstarter. I'm like, yeah, if this was last year, I definitely would be doing videos on it because I was all about doing videos on my channel last year. But this year, I can't find the time to hardly do one video when I should. And I'm not putting as much into my editing and things like that as I feel comfortable with. And so I don't know. I was like, if I do this, it's going to take away time from things I need to do. So then that's when they say that's when you have to pay yourself for your time. If you're going to do something, pay yourself for your time. So I thought, I don't know, are there people interested? And I asked that person, I said, do you think people would be interested in paying me for a course that I lead? And they said, do a poll and find out, they would.
All right. Yeah. We have polling tools at our disposal. It's true.
So yeah, I could put that out there if you guys would be interested. I don't even know what that would look like, to be honest.
Yeah.
And of course I'm not the be all to end all, but I could do the course and here are the things that I did that I felt like helped to make me successful. There are at least one thing that you can't manufacture overnight, which is an audience. You should have some type of audience to go to Kickstarter with.
Yes. Platform ahead of time. Okay. It's not going to let me do it. Let's see if it does. No, it's not going to let me do it. That's silly. I went on to try to pin your Kickstarter link on the YouTube page and it won't let me do it. So I've put the links to your other Kickstarter talks, the ones that I can think of right off with Estelle and with Emma just earlier today. Was there another one you wanted to? Did Andy do one?
Yeah, I think it was early last week, Monday, Tuesday.
Okay. I started typing in easy graphics. Oh, rebrand. Okay. I'll go grab that, and then we can head into our next sprint.
So yeah, I did put that. That is a question I'm asking for the audience out there. Would you guys be interested in something like that? Again, I wouldn't know what that would look like. I don't know. I have ideas though, of course, lots of ideas.
Okay, got it. Shannon on Andy's channel. Kickstarter. Boom. Okay. And
Okay, this is going to go 20 minutes, which is right about the time that my son's therapist might be here.
okay.
So
Do you want me to make it might be here? Do you want to make it shorter or longer, or probably shorter and then take a short break and then hop into a sprint if we need to, if you need to go to your thing?
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
She won't be early. She'll just likely be late.
Okay. All right. So I'll mute myself and we'll jump into another enchanted fairy forest here with the mushrooms. Yay.
I do need to go check this to make sure, see if she's here yet or not.
Okay. I'll just be mesmerized by the, what are they called? Fireflies floating around in the moonscape. I like it. All right. So we'll hide that for the moment. Shannon is checking on the person coming to pick up her kid. So I was just going to check in and say I was working on magazine stuff. In both 20-minute sprints, I got 2 tweets and Facebook posts done for 2 days. So that's 4 times 2 channels, which is 8 posts, 40 minutes. I don't know. Is that a good rate? I also didn't share, but I ate it on the pavement earlier today. So I've got wounds. Just waiting for them to like heal up, and my knees are a disgrace. So it's a little stingy. I'm a little bruised this morning, but it's fine. I wanted to share Maggie's comment that she shares Shannon's channel with all the info videos to so many people, which is wonderful. And Morgan Lee's comment that she'd be interested in a Kickstarter course. So that would be a big undertaking for sure. Musical Maggie, hello, showed up and just banged out 228 words somehow. We like it. And then we had Rita H. Hello, I've been setting up my bullet journal for August. Excellent. I love setting up a bullet journal as well, planning ahead. You know, Morgan started arranging her August, and it took her clear into next year. So maybe you will be swept along with the tide of productivity as well. Right. So I did tweet and Facebook posts for my day job now that I sort of have one of those now, which is great. And I think Shannon was probably working more on the graphics that she was talking about. I'm going to be making an announcement later today about the thing that I'm launching in August. So I need to make an Instagram reel for that, but this is not really the best forum to make a reel while people are watching. So I will do that after this stream. I have more questions for Shannon, but since she's off probably talking to the therapist, we'll wait. And Rita says, I only focus basically monthly. 6 months is even too daunting for me. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I think I normally plan out like 2 months at once so that I can write stuff in the next month if it doesn't fit into the immediate month. So like that is comfortable for me. We're talking about bullet journaling. How you doing, Shannon?
He hasn't shown up yet, so I could be having to go again. I just made sure his bag and everything was set up to go out into the community. So,
all right, good. So you're all set and ready. I am caught up with all the things, so I'm ready for some more questions for you. What final benefit are you on for backers to win? So I checked and saw that you're above $3,000. Is there like a final get you over the last little hump benefit that you'd be sharing with people if they join by Monday?
well, what I have a flash goal going right now, which it doesn't look like it's going to make it, which is by the end of today, if I hit 3,500, then I have a book that another fantasy romance author said that she will give to everybody who is backed. So that would be everybody by the end of today.
Yeah.
Which we were like within $30. We were like $34.70 a couple of days ago. But then the thing that I asked the community about, because I have this one backer who keeps going up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
They've changed 17 times what they're doing.
Holy
and God. Yeah, and at one point she were one that went up to $250.
Yeah.
So that was part of that getting close to that $3,500 mark. And then they dropped from $250 all the way down to $35.
Yeah.
dollars, and then someone else dropped down.
Uh,
So then I'm like only like $90 above where I was at the beginning of the week. So
mm,
we're probably not going to make it. And I don't, at this point, I don't know that every time I've set a goal, like, hey, let's reach for this goal, doesn't feel like anybody's really trying to get there.
uh-huh.
So
So
it doesn't seem to do anything. It does not motivate the people who are already on my list. At least that's what it appears.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, maybe people are doing things, and it's just not panning out on their side when they're reaching out to other people. So I don't know.
All right. Well, I think you were working on graphics earlier, so I had a question about the art, which was it seemed really important and like key to all the benefits that you had character art, and the podcast that I was listening to yesterday about vertical business, and he was throwing around all these creator economy terms, and I was like, okay, so obviously art is really important to provide merch and swag and
Mhm.
income for authors. That's not just the story.
Yeah.
So would you recommend others trying to commission character art? And would you recommend any specific places to go to work with people on that?
Um,
I know
I
it's
can only
kind
recommend by genre. I know
of
it's
okay.
very big in the fantasy romance genre to get character art done, and if you have spicy romance to get and not safe for work character art done, as
Okay, I
SFW
can picture that.
and SFW artwork. Like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that is really, really important.
Mhm.
Pulling out some of those key taglines. I've seen them on like like bags and journals and things like that. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing. And all those terms have come from Becca Syme, by the way. She's the one that's talking about we're no longer in horizontal publishing. We need to think of vertical publishing to reach our readers in different ways and have merch and stuff to sell.
Mm.
So I think that's really interesting. But she's kind of in a burnout phase right now, so she hasn't gone much more in depth with it.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it is highly important if you, especially if you are in fantasy romance, that I see is really, really big. I mean, that's by established authors. It's not just by people that are on Kickstarter. Now, where to go find it? So I've kind of been hit or miss. So some of my character artwork that I started with, I got from Fiverr, which I liked it. But I did want something that was a little bit better. So I've now commissioned someone from ArtStation. So, and I got their name from another Kickstarter because a lot of people, and I've been wanting to go put this on there, and I'll probably update my Kickstarter with it, put all the artists I worked with. I go and look at who they said that they worked with to get different art pieces. And so then I go look them up. And some of it's kind of like, some of them they've commissioned artwork from people who say you cannot use this artwork that I make for you for profit. So it's like you can only get it like if you're giving it away as a prize or something, I guess. You can't sell it. And I'm like, I don't want to commission an art piece that I'm just giving away. I mean, sure, if I'm getting it initially, like the art piece I commissioned now is going to be given away as part of a stretch goal that was met. However, when I get my second book up on Kickstarter, I now have that art piece that I can now sell. So I plan on being able to use it commercially. So I think big picture, what else can I do with it besides just as a stretch goal? But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because like so one of the things that I pulled out of this, which you had already seen, of course, was like there's a list actually of people they have hunted out on different platforms of the top earners
Yeah.
and subscriptions for authors. And I was like, this is so cool. So they go across Substack and Patreon, and some of those were things you had considered and rejected or considered and are still sort of tinkering with. And so I was looking at those, and there is not a single historical fiction author in any of them. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so this is like not the thing. So,
Well, not the thing or hasn't been tried yet.
or hasn't been tried in a successful way yet. Yeah. So I don't think historical fiction readers are all that into art, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Tell me in the comments. But a really good cover still sells a historical fiction book. That is true across genres. I think maybe like the merch would have to be different.
Yeah. I mean, historical pieces, historical. I mean, there's some people that get like, shirts made and stuff like that. But I was just listening to someone this morning, and she used to make linen shirts from medieval times, and she gave those to people who ordered them from her to give out to their audience.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do something like that. But you're talking about something that's more expensive. But I think it'd be kind of cool to like get the character into the whatever the fashion is, or whatever, if it's whatever is the vehicle that's in the story that is showing the time period, whether that is a house or the clothes or whatever, getting that in conjunction with the character in it. I think that'd be, because now you get to see like, okay, I've seen pictures of old Victorian houses. Oh, but that's what the character looks like in this Victorian house or something like
Yeah.
that. You know, I
That's
think that would be interesting.
Yeah. There's lots of things you can play with. It's just
Mhm.
the things that are interesting to you aren't always going to be interesting to your reader. So that's where I run up against that advice of like, where do you find your readers? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I want to put out what I like and see who else likes that, because that's where the convergence will be. But
What I would say for subscriptions, though, is it doesn't have to be just artwork, because I see a lot of subscriptions. It's just like they release a chapter or a scene or a story or something like that once a week or once a month or whatever it is that they do.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. We'll
I think
see.
she might be here.
Okay.
I'll be back.
All right. Do you want to jump into another sprint? We'll jump into another
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. So I will pop up this. Victoria's agreeing. People love clothes from different eras. Now that is an interesting starting point. Maybe I will abandon my AWC tasks for the next sprint and think about this instead. Victoria is distracting me. Or maybe even food. Yeah, that's hard to offer as a benefit. Like, mm, recipes. I did just interview Amy K. Runyon, who had recipes in her book Bakery in Paris. And they were old-fashioned recipes, so the kind you would get in like the 18th century, 19th century cookbooks that don't really pretend to get you with tablespoons and grams or anything. It's just like what you mix together, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. We'll see. Recipes would be fun. And like how many people are actually going to follow them? So you could really be off the hook and just repeat a recipe or pass it on without having to like test it yourself, because that is not my specialty.
I actually just saw a Kickstarter that started a couple of days ago that recipe cards were part of the giveaway, the part of the perks and stuff.
That would make sense. Like make it a card, make it nice. Yeah.
I know it has pretty graphics on it and everything. They made it look real pretty, homey. So
Yeah. All right. So do you need to go into a sprint?
I don't have to. No, he's off. He's with the therapist. I just took him outside so she'd even have to come in.
Okay. All right. Then I'll save my last question for the last break and we'll hop into the sprint. I'll mute myself and see you on the other side.
All right.
Oh, and I had a request for you under private chat, just to flag that.
I sent an email out last night. Was that not the right one? I sent it to you.
I haven't seen it yet. I'll go look in spam just in case.
Okay.
Oh, did we go into the break? I looked at it and it said 55, and then all of a sudden it was done. Okay. Let me hide that. We're back.
Mower's going over here with our neighbor.
Oh, lawnmower. Okay, so let me revisit. We had Maggie say, when I think of historical romance covers, I always think of a guy holding a girl who looks like she's leaning away. That's not a good message. Or a young woman kind of forlorn, looking away from the reader. I don't know where you would get that idea, Maggie. I finally gave to like the tendency and did that on the third book in the series. But yeah, it's a thing. And then also she says it's Highland, unless it's Highlander romance, and it's a shirtless guy in tartan that almost never matches the name of the clan. I don't know why it irks me so much, but do your research. And I just thought that was hilarious because I never even thought of that. Like,
Is that like all trad publishing? They pick that stuff and the author doesn't get a chance to really say anything?
Yeah. 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 I don't know why a cover designer wouldn't research it, but when I was a teen, I bought my grandmother a tartan romance, as they were called way back when, and she ranted for days that the tartan on the cover was the wrong one. FYI, Irish tartans and Scottish tartans are very different. Yes, I can't like tell them apart on sight, except for they look looser on the Irish side, like the weave and the color changes. And I don't think there's as many. Yeah, interesting. I like that little rabbit hole. But honestly, I never gave it much thought, and I've read plenty. Not recently, but yeah. Okay, so I was diving back into AWC stuff then, and excellent. Good brainstorming. How about you, Shan? What were you just working on? You're muted.
Finished up all the graphics for my day-to-day campaign sorry, it's just and then I started doing the editing on Bethany Votah's video.
SPTT. Woo.
Self-publishing tips and tricks, yeah.
Yeah.
And I did see, I had seen it before. People did say they would be interested in a course. So
Yeah, Morgan said.
Okay.
Yeah. Lots of possibilities there. I was just trying to remember if there's anything else later today we wanted to notify people about, but I don't think so. You've already done like 3 things online today, so you're done, right? After this. Okay. All right. So I have a couple more questions, which first one is, this is just sort of the thing that perked up my attention. Maybe no one else got this. You followed the convention for titling a Curse of Scales and Feathers, which follows ACOTAR, a sort of like 5 words. And so that is very understandable in terms of understanding your market and fantasy romance, but not the abbreviation. You've got ACOSF, and you can't say that as easily as ACOTAR, ACOSF. You have cut out the ampersand. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, the ampersand, it wasn't logical in my head because is it on ACOTAR, the cover? It's not, it's an ampersand, but then it's an A for the ampersand, which A is for and or ampersand. But I was like, I put A in there and I put the ampersand in there, and it was like, but it's not A, it's actually an ampersand symbol. But when I put the ampersand symbol in there, it didn't look right to me. So it was just a logical thing that didn't make sense to me.
And you didn't want to bend to the conventions like I did with my cover to give people a more easy way to say it.
I guess so on Kickstarter, and it's even more restricted on Indiegogo because I've already set up my Indiegogo page. But in order for it to pull my numbers from Kickstarter, which it will pull like how much money I've already raised and all my backers, so I've got that social proof on there. It will pull all that, but it won't do it until my Kickstarter is closed. So I have to wait until 8 p.m. Monday night and then send an email to Indiegogo and say, hey, can you please transfer over this site? And so it's even more restrictive there.
You can tell he's doing the cross back and forth method.
It's not like there's a whole lot there. I mean,
Yeah.
they only have a little bit between us. But anyways, so the conventions for naming stuff on Kickstarter for doing those things, it cuts off at character limits. So I couldn't put a Curse of Scales and Feathers hardback or hardcover or paperback or special edition paperback. It wouldn't let me put the whole thing in there. So I had to
Oh,
shorten it down
got
and
it.
then figure out which ones I was keeping.
Got it. Interesting. Okay.
And it was even more restrictive on Indiegogo, where I couldn't even put like special edition. I had to do like SP period ED period, and so I had to keep
Are
cutting
you
stuff
talking
out.
about the titles for the tiers, or are you talking about the URL?
No, I'm talking about the item names.
The
So
tiers.
the tiers. Now the tiers have different names. Those are like fall, elementive, or
What are you
winter.
talking about item names then? Is that listed in the description? It's
The
just
item
another
names are
field.
the items that people can get. So I want the paperback. I want the hardback. I want the. So to create that, if someone says I want, or like tier one is just the ebook of the prequel novella. So I couldn't even put in like I wanted to put in the Sunstone and the Hybrid Prince prequel novella. It wouldn't fit all that.
Right.
I didn't know how to shorten that down to make sense because it wasn't going to show up anywhere else shortened down other than just put prequel novella, which then threw people off because they got like level 1 tier and then added the prequel novella. And I'm like, but that is the prequel novella. So do they mean to get two? Probably not. So I made notes and I'm going to go on Saturday and just reach out to everybody who got double things like, hey, are you sure this is what you wanted? Make sure that's what they want. I know that's going to decrease I didn't want to do it before the end of today because just in case we hit the 3,500, but we're probably not going to hit the 3,500. But
Yeah.
I really would love to get this book out to everybody because it's not just a boon to them to get the book. It's a boon to the author to be introduced, to a new audience. Her work is being introduced to a new audience possibly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it was titling with the platforms you chose to first publish. So that makes sense. And just like to back up a bit, I don't think I'd ever heard of someone going from one platform to another before you mentioned it, like in the last couple of weeks. So I didn't know this was a thing, obviously, because I haven't put any time studying it and hadn't considered it as a possibility in anywhere near as depth as you did when you dove in. So would you say this is a common experience that people say, okay, this is the Kickstarter audience, I'm going to get as much as I can here, and then bring it to a different audience to see if there's any residual?
So I think it was someone in one of the Facebook groups because there's 3 Facebook groups for Kickstarters. That's really good. Now one is strictly for the course that you buy. So that one you have to have bought the course to get into. But so I'm part of 3. I don't get in there often enough, but I remember being in one and someone asked me, "Hey, are you going to go over to Indiegogo next?" And I was like, "I don't know." So I looked it up and it said, Indiegogo has like the instructions on how to transfer your Kickstarter over. You're not actually moving it from Kickstarter to over there. You have to redo everything on there, but it's moving over those figures. So everyone can see that you already have that social proof of this is how much money you've already raised. This is how many people have already backed it. So you have that social proof already going in.
Which is so interesting because you could consider it as social proof that like it's a great project and that people are behind it. Or you could be like, why is she asking for more money? She met her goal here, like that's what I had originally thought.
So
But
I
I'm
saw
also thinking about people who come to these for like emergency medical expenses, like GoFundMe and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, Indiegogo is probably different.
Yeah, well, that feature with Indiegogo is called in demand. So Kickstarter setup, you set a goal. There's no way around it. You set a goal, you have to meet the goal. You don't meet the goal, you don't get anything. So you get $999.99, but if your goal is 1,000, you don't get anything.
Mhm.
Indiegogo, you can have a fixed funding amount, or you can have flexible. So you can say, I would like $500, but I'm flexible. If it's below or above, I don't care, whatever.
What's
And
the
so
trade-off?
well, then you don't have the fear FOMO, the fear of missing out countdown.
Okay, the urgency. Gotcha.
Urgency, yeah. So the in-demand feature, that's really good. And see, I was already seeing what people were doing, and I didn't know it was Indiegogo until I started matching it all up. But people were saying, hey, did you miss out on the campaign? And this is like somewhere on their page, your campaign page on Kickstarter. Go here, and you can still buy items.
Oh,
So
wow.
so it's kind of this idea that, when the campaign's done, it's done. But the book should not. There's nothing that says you can't do this, but you should not turn around, put the book on retailers when your people haven't even received it yet, your backers.
Right.
So you want to get it to them first. That's the whole idea, is that they get it first.
Right.
So you fulfill all your orders. Once all your orders are done, then now you can put it on retailer platforms. Well, you got that window in there of fulfilling orders that can take anywhere from a couple months to 6 months to some people it takes a year to get everything fulfilled, depending on what you have in your campaign. So I imagine mine's gonna be about 3 months is what I'm imagining. I'm hoping I'm not underselling myself because they said to give yourself extra time. So you got that. So for me, I've got that 3 months in there where my book is not going to be anywhere for sale anywhere. But no, I can still have it up there that people want it. They can get it. They can say, oh, I missed on the campaign. Let me go get it here. So they can still get it. If it's already been fulfilled, like with the Kickstarter. So like parts of my Kickstarter will go out in September. Some will go in October and some in November. I think it was one thing in November, the special edition hardback. So if say like they come in, they buy something in November, well, I can go ahead and just fulfill it right now because it's already ready to go versus them waiting until it comes out on platforms later. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah.
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 So
well, what's interesting is that so I was observing the same process with the Stygian collection from the contributor, but not the organizer viewpoint. So they wrapped up like mid-May for the campaign, and then they released on Amazon and their website on July 1st. So that was like their 6-week sort of period for fulfillment. And of course, it's like dragged on because then they got the shipment and then they got the thing. So people can get the ebook and whatnot and the paperback before people are getting their fulfillment. But I don't think anyone cares. You got like the special fun stuff and like part of the process up to May 14th or 15th or whatever it was. And so
I would say the audience on Kickstarter, the audience that's there already, they expect to get their things first before anybody else has it. So, and some people actually put it into their campaign that, that be the first one to get it. So, the fact that they did it that way, I mean, maybe nobody cared if it was like from people from the audience here. Maybe they wouldn't have cared because they're not the Kickstarter people. But if someone on Kickstarter, they might have been like, well, wait, I could have just waited and bought it there. The only other difference would be is if they were offering it during the Kickstarter at a much reduced price than what they put it on platforms for.
They had additional benefits, but the timing was not the most important thing. And they informed people as they went, like, this is our new date, and this is when we'll be doing this, and this is when it's shipping out. And they were keeping people included really, really well, I thought. So
to answer your question, by the way, with the Indiegogo, that's how I started. It's how someone first brought it up. Then I saw it on Kickstarter, and then it was part of the course because the course I'm taking, I didn't do everything because everything's like hours and hours and hours along in the course. And it's split up between they didn't split into 3 parts, but it's kind of split up what I think of like 3 parts, which is, I feel Kickstarter has like 3 parts to it, which is everything before launch, during your launch, and your campaign, and after launch. Yeah. And so everything with fulfillment and after I hadn't watched yet. And so when I went back, I started now watching it. Now that I've come closer to the end of my campaign, I started watching some of those courses, those classes. And there's one in there about going to Indiegogo, but I had already done research on it. And so when I watched that course material, I was like, oh, I already know all this.
You come at things differently. It's the same information. So I had one more question, which is fitting in this really nicely, and then I'll go to Maggie's question. But mine was, how does Kickstarter fit in with your plan to go wide? So you've told us Kickstarter, Indiegogo in the interim, fulfillment, and then going wide. I know that the decision to go wide was one that you had talked about for a while, mulled over for a long time. Did you decide about the Kickstarter first or the going wide first? And like, how did that come about?
I actually set all my goals before I published my first book. So first book published 2 years in KU, then go wide at the 2-year mark. 2 years would be this November. Then 5 years from the first publication of that first book, then sell direct. So that means I've got 3 more years to sell direct from my website. So I already set all those goals before I even published my first book. Now, with the course, I mentioned earlier how I bought the course, and it was actually in conjunction with another course. And so I paid $9.99. It was $1,000 basically. That second course was direct sales because both Monica Leonel and Russell Nolte, they both say, and I see this on Kickstarter, I'm bringing some of my audience there, but I have, like I said, I think this is roughly half of my people who have backed me are people I don't know. They're not my audience. So they're from the Kickstarter platform. They're used to going to the author direct to get what they want from the author, because that's kind of how Kickstarter's almost like a direct, you have more contact with the author than you would like on Amazon or other retail platforms. Right. So they say you're setting up the expectations so that you can go from Kickstarter to directly selling to direct sales on your website, because you're training your audience to come to you directly to find out all the information. So it's really good to connect that. And so as much as I would love to do that, I want to do more research because I am like a high input and high learner. And I don't feel like I know enough to do it yet completely direct.
The selling direct from the website thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd ever be like the only place I do sell my books. I would still sell on retailer platforms. But my end goal is that I don't know if I'll continue using Kickstarter because Kickstarter, it's beginning, I guess, the beginnings of getting saturation. So there's probably going to be a time where it's not worth it to do Kickstarters anymore. But what I see is that I will get my audience trained enough that they know to come to me to find out what's going on when my books are coming out. And I'll sell them direct from me first on my website, and then maybe a couple weeks later launch on retailers.
Right.
But on my site first.
The cream off the milk. Skim the cream first for yourself. Yeah, totally. Yeah, good stuff. I had another question that popped up, but I can't remember it now. It already escaped. So I just want to say hello to Tiffany. Just came by to hit the like button. And Maggie's question, could that prequel novella be a chapter by chapter release with the newsletter or with subscriptions? It's a whole other kettle of fish. Yeah.
The issue with that is that it started off as a short story. And I knew I was going to make it into a prequel novella. I wanted to give it to my newsletter for free because I gave them the short story for free. But then I was like, but I'm selling it sort of like for $1 on my Kickstarter. So then I don't want people who are on my newsletter list who buy it for $1. Then I give it to everyone for free. That doesn't feel right. So
that's hard. So that gets back to my question actually, which is the competing priorities and like who is your A list? Who are your mega fans? Because like when I asked this question to Estelle for SEO, it was like for SEO, you want to point as many as you can people to one place to get a high concentration and high traffic, and like you get points for that, right? But if you want to sell direct, you have your website, and then if you want to have people get it through whoever they want, you have your books to read, like, or like a Kickstarter. Like if you have competing goals like this, how do you segregate your audience into the people like, if you want this, go here, like it's really hard to say, well, I have a few things that I can offer for like bonuses or reader magnets, and like how do I deploy those? Do I give them for free here, or do I offer them cheap here, or do I have a sale? Like I have been lost before trying to make these decisions. How do you make these decisions?
So since I didn't get the prequel novella done ahead of time before my Kickstarter started, that's the reason why I didn't give it to my newsletter list for free. So I am offering it as part of the Kickstarter platform. With that in mind, right now, for the next year or so, it's only going to be available through the Kickstarter platform when I do the other books, because it'll be part of what can be added on. So that's what I'm going to do with that. After about a year, so my goal is hopefully in the next year, I will have book 2 and 3 done. Book 4, I move into a different type of setup in my series. So books 1 through 3 is going to be, I want to do like an omnibus for them. And I'm probably going to do maybe a Kickstarter just for the omnibus. So because they're a certain setup, they're all concurrent. They all happen at the same time. Where book 4 comes after, and book 4, 5, 6 are all going to be linearly laid out. And they'll all come after books 1 through 3.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking of that. When I get to that omnibus section, at that point, what I want to do is, because I want to have more short stories, probably prequel, short, I don't know, other things that are going to go along with the other 2 books. I'm going to take all of those, I'm going to bundle it up, and I'm going to sell it as is on Amazon, and I'm going to give it to my newsletter list for free at that point.
All the extras?
All the extras, yeah.
Bundled, okay. Bundle of extras. I'm sure you'll have a different name. Wow. Gosh. It's so like coherent, like the whole strategy. This is not how I did things.
I'm constantly thinking through all these things and what I can do. And
yeah. Ugh. Meanwhile, I was thinking through things and on a new street, and that's why I tripped and ate it this morning. Tripped and fell because I wasn't concentrating on the road in front of me. All right, well, let's see. What else do we have to cover? We have like 5 more minutes left. We made it in our 2-hour mark because we contained it to 3 sprints, short ones. I hope you guys got some stuff done while attending this productivity sprint for July. I will just flag that I will be dropping my Instagram reel about what's happening in August. So hopefully that will be fun for people to see. I don't know what it's going to look like. I just know what like the content will be. So we'll see which filters I can come up with. How about you, Shannon? What are you looking forward to this weekend? Take the list of to-dos about the Kickstarter campaign off, and like, what else is this weekend?
Get some more sleep.
There you go.
So we have air conditioner finally. So
Yay!
really get some better sleep. And then, you know, the rest of it's just gonna be buckling down on the Kickstarter. And I'll finishing up this video for Bethany. I should get that done today. But I want to move into consuming more of the course material about the fulfillment and all that. And I'm still trying to figure out how to deliver e-items. So on BookFunnel, I found out I can do multiple books as a certified mail, which is basically I can set up, okay, all of these books should be delivered to all these people. So that would be like the ebook for the prequel novella, the ebook for the actual novel, and it does a PDF file, so I can do the map that people that goes. You know, some people are getting the map that's a digital map, but I'm like, I don't know if I should do it as a picture or as a PDF. I have to figure that stuff out still. So I can figure all that out. And then the rest of the stuff that is not a book or could be made into a book format, how do I deliver that? And I've looked at like Dropbox and stuff, but I don't know yet. I need to figure out some of this stuff because I'm taking the first week in August off after the podcast episode comes out at noon on Tuesday. And then I'm done. I'm done for like eight and a half days. So then we'll come back ready to go to get all this fulfillment stuff done. And I need to know what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. That's good. All right. Well, that'll set you up good for a little break. Yeah. Maggie says, love listening to this all while cleaning out the cabinets and wiping them down. And she's got a suggestion for the upcoming merch. She needs an I Hate the Snow Princess mug.
Hold on. I have something. I don't know what I did with it, though.
I don't know. My mug kind of looks like a snow princess mug. It's that icy blue with British pottery. Gotta love it.
So I did get a mug with the cover on there, but I think it's in the kitchen. I'm not going to go all that to the kitchen, but I did get spiral bound.
Oh,
this is just for me.
Notebook.
Yeah, just one I got for me. I just wanted one.
Nice.
So I didn't think anybody else would want to buy this particularly. Maybe without the words. I don't know. I just wanted it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see.
I hate the Snow Princess.
They're rooting on your heroes, and I don't know.
That would definitely get me. There was one of the emails I sent out for the Kickstarter because I'm trying to send out multiple emails, not just the one a month that I usually do. And I didn't know what to do. And I was sitting there, what am I going to do? And I was like, okay, talk to me, characters. Maybe I can talk to one of my characters, or maybe one of my characters can talk to my people. But then I just thought, no, if I was to say what would be happening, I was like, the Snow Princess would be laughing at me. And that was the name of my email. The Snow Princess is laughing at me. And I started that off. The Snow Princess is laughing at me. And then I went into why she's terrible. She's an awful person. And then at the very end, or near the end, I say, and everybody who's read the book, or, you know, many of my readers who read the book has said, I thought she was going to die. She needs to die, or she needs something bad needs to happen to her. And I he wrote like something like she needs to die. And, and so I wrote back, I was like, I can't kill her. And so this is where it came from, that conversation I had with Ben in the emails, because we went back and forth talking about it for a little bit. And I put,
you know that song Earl Had to Die, the country song, something like that. You could just put.
But I put in there, I said, funny. She's laughing at me because she gets her own love story and redemption. And I'm like, but I don't know how to do it. And that's why she's laughing at me, because she's like, you think I'm going to have people like me? That's not going to happen.
It'll work out. It'll work out.
It will.
All right. So we've been hard at work, just to remind people, hard at work for the next AWC. It's on like Donkey Kong. So look for information for that pretty soon on social channels near you. But yeah, Shannon and Joe writes.
Oh, I haven't been telling anybody the name.
Oh. Okay. Sorry.
I was gonna do it as a reveal, but I hadn't said anything to you or her yet. So
all right. Well, there's 5 people on this right now, so don't tell anyone. 5 people, okay? What I have coming up is my video Sunday. I do Sunday streams at noon Pacific, and that is going to be recommendations for Women in Translation Month. So I'm going to be picking up books at the library. I've got a couple here, even a graphic novel translation. So that should be fun. So we'll see you on Sunday. We'll see you on Shannon's Kickstarter. She's got loads of updates coming from that, as well as the newsletter. So I get like double trouble. So should be great to see how it finishes up on Monday.
I should have done this ahead of time, but I haven't done it yet. I need to do it today. I've got to get this done today. On Monday, it closes at 8 p.m. Central Time. I am going to do a live countdown on my channel.
Woo!
If anyone wants to join me, I have not figured out how to do that yet, but anyone wants to join me.
How long? What's the period?
I'm looking, I was thinking like 15 minutes before it closes, but I was like, that's kind of a weird time to start. So I was like, maybe half hour before it closes. And then when it closes, then we're done.
Yeah, that sounds good. We did that for the Stitching collection. We had the thing during the day, and like it got funded and everyone was really excited during that time period. It was cool. Yeah.
Did it get funded? It didn't get funded until the very end?
It did. I think we were earlier in the day. Technically, it was like 6 hours later, but it was like the last one that was a reasonable time period for people across the globe to join. And so we I think saw it hit during that time, and we're all like, yay. So don't tell. Sorry. Okay. Well, we'll still be all in for the reveal later on Shannon's channel, I bet. So
well, I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out. I have things in my head, but I just don't ever get them out sometimes.
Yeah. We'll figure it out later. All right, so we'll see you folks later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Good luck with any more productivity this month, and take care of yourselves. Bye, everybody. Bye.